Resourceful Designer, episode 292, 6 Unconventional Ways to Find Design Clients.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer Podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host, who doesn't like scary movies because they make him jump, Mark DeCote.
Well, it's not so much the jumping thing that bothers me. I mean, after all, isn't that what a scary movie is supposed to do? No, it's my wife laughing at me every time that I do jump. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that woman jump at a scary movie. Oh well. In this episode of Resourceful Designer, I want to share a few things that you may not have thought of that you can try to attract new design clients. But before I get to that, just a quick mention that I've opened up the Resourceful Designer blog to guest authors. If you have an idea for an article that you think would benefit designers who run or are thinking of running their own design business, then please reach out to me at feedback@resourcefuldesigner.com. If I publish your article, I'll give you full credit on the post and include a link back to your website. This is a great way for you to build up credibility in your field and get some SEO juice to help your website rank better. I've had a few people reach out already, and pretty soon you'll see those new articles on the website, and I would love to feature something from you as well. So again, if you have an idea for an article that you would like to write, send it at feedback@resourcefuldesigner.com and let me know. And just to be clear, don't send me the entire article, just send me your idea for an article and I'll let you know if it's something to pursue. Thank you very much. And now, 6 unconventional ways to find design clients. Ask any designer and they'll tell you that their number one way of landing new design clients is through word of mouth referral. Now, this is not a secret. If you do a good job on a client's project, there's a very good chance that that client will then pass your name along to somebody else should they hear of someone requiring your type of service. I've built my entire business on this model, and chances are, so have you. But does that mean that you should only rely on word of mouth referrals? No, it doesn't. Are you familiar with the term diversify? In short, it means using different options, such as you should diversify your investments, meaning you should have multiple investments. If one of them isn't doing so well, your other investments can make up for it, and you're not taking so big a loss. Diversification can also help your income stream. If all your work comes from one client, and that client suddenly has financial difficulty and stops or slows down sending you work, it can put you in a troubling spot. And that's why it's best to have multiple clients. So if one stops sending you work, you can still make a living off the other ones. But I want to talk about diversity in relation to how you obtain these new clients. As I said, word of mouth is by far the most popular in our field of design. But word of mouth does have its limits. That's why you shouldn't rely solely on it to get you new clients. You see, this is how word of mouth functions. Imagine a tree. The trunk of the tree is one client. Now, you create a project for them, you design something for them, and they really like what you did. So when they have an opportunity, they pass your name on to someone else. Well, that someone else becomes a limb on this tree. Now you're working for this limb, let's call it client number 2. And again, you do a really good job because after all, you're a great designer. And now this limb really liked what you did, so they tell another person. And that person now becomes a branch on this same tree. And then so forth and so forth. That branch may tell another one and it becomes another branch and then a leaf and so forth. But every branch, every limb, every leaf can all trace its roots back to the trunk of that tree, the very first client. It's kind of like that thing, whatever, the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, where it doesn't matter who you mention in Hollywood, there's like 7 steps that you can get back to them knowing or being related to Kevin Bacon. I'll think of it in that term. So now you have a big tree of clients because every client you have at that point all relates back to that first one. That client told somebody, that next one told somebody else, the next one told somebody else, but they're all related back to the first. So now you have this big tree of clients, all somehow connected back to that initial client. And that's great. But there's more than one tree in the forest, isn't there? Meaning there are tons and tons of people, both locally and abroad, who could use your services that have zero connection to anyone in your tree of clients. And if they have zero connection to your existing clients, they'll never hear about you through word of mouth. And that's the limitation. And that's why you should diversify how or where you try to find clients. Because every client that you have that isn't somehow connected to your other clients starts a brand new tree for you. And the idea behind a successful design business is not having one tree of clients, it's having an entire forest of clients. I hope that made sense. Now, there are many resources out there on how to find clients. I just did a search on the phrase, how to find graphic design clients, and Google gave me 236 million results. Have fun reading through all of those. But today, I want to share 6 unconventional ways that you could use to find design clients. And just a note, I've successfully landed new clients with 5 out of the 6 ways I'm going to share with you. And it's not because that other one didn't work. It's just I never tried it myself, but I know other designers who have successfully. Also, some of these methods may require a small investment on your part for them to work. Okay, let's get started. Method number 1, put your business cards in books relating to your field. I know this sounds silly, but leaving your business card in a book is a great way to introduce yourself to someone who may not know you. Go to your local library or your bookstore and look for books on, starting a business. Or if you design for a specific niche, put a business card in the books related to that niche. On business books, chances are there's a chapter on branding or marketing. Well, that's a perfect place to put your business card. Should someone take that book and they start reading it and they come across your card at the precise time when they're thinking about how they may need to hire a designer? And, oh, look, here's the card for a designer. Who should I reach out to? Now, this method worked for me just recently. On my podcast branding website, the order form I have asks the question, how did you hear about podcast branding? Now, normally what I see entered in that field is the name of someone who recommended me, which is word of mouth in action. But a couple of weeks ago, someone wrote, I found your business card in a book I bought about starting a podcast. Now, this person is from Ottawa, Ontario, and Ottawa, Ontario is where my 2 grown kids, that's where they live. And I happened to be visiting a bookstore in Ottawa. My wife wanted to look at some books and I browsed around and I went to the podcast section. And when I found a few books on how to start a podcast, I inserted my podcast branding business card. Well, it paid off because somebody reached out to me. And cha-ching, I had a new client. And proof that just putting a business card in a book does work. Now, is my inbox flooding with new orders because of business cards and books? No. But if I got one client, there's nothing saying I can't get another one. So the next time I'm there, I'll make sure I have some more business cards and I'll put them in more books. You never know. Now, just maybe some advice here. You could just leave a business card as I did, or if you want to get more creative, you can actually have special cards made just for this purpose. They're not expensive. You can have 100 cards made for dirt cheap these days. And then you put these in books. Imagine someone reading a how to start a business book and coming across a card that reads, Are you thinking of starting a new business? I would love to help you with your website. Here's how you can get a hold of me. That can give them that extra little push to go, yeah, I do need a website. I don't know anybody. Why not reach out to this person? So that's unconventional method number 1. Leave a business card in a book related to your field. Now, method number 2 is to join a board of directors or a committee for some local organization, charity, event, whatever. Now, as I said at the beginning, some of these methods require an investment on your part. Now, this one's not a financial investment. It is a time investment. Because if you join a committee or board of directors or something, you're going to have to spend time devoted to it. Now, we all know that networking is one of the best ways to get your name out there, to become known for what it is you do. After all, if someone doesn't know who you are, there is very little chance that they're going to hire you. But networking doesn't have to just be at conferences or special events. You could join a local board of directors or a committee for, as I said, it could be a festival, it could be some sort of event, an organization, a charity, a nonprofit, whatever. And what's good about this is you're not just meeting people once like you do at a networking event or something like that. When you're on a board or a committee, you get to interact with these people on a regular basis. Now, this is beneficial since not only do these people get to know what you do if you bring it up, but they get to know you as a person. And these relationships that you build up by being on a committee with somebody makes it much easier for them to consider you when they have a need for a designer, or to pass your name along when they hear of somebody who needs a designer. Now, many years ago, I was on the board of director for our local chapter of Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity is a worldwide organization that builds and sells homes to people who couldn't afford a traditional mortgage. Well, the board of director for our local area was made up of roughly 10 people, and we met once per month to discuss everything happening with our future builds, what's happening with the organization, and just getting together and talking about it. Well, one of the board members was an electrician, another one was a carpenter, one was a real estate executive, and another one owned the local newspaper, amongst some other people. Now, while I was on the board of directors, not only did I get to do work for our local Habitat for Humanity chapter, but each of these people that I just mentioned became a client of mine. I didn't know any of these people beforehand, but by being on the board with them and meeting once per month, and after a while getting to know each other, whenever they needed something, they approached me. And I ended up doing work for the electrician, for the carpenter, for the real estate person, and even helped out the local newspaper with some stuff. A similar thing happened years ago when my kids were young and I joined the parent committee at their school. A couple of parents on the committee were business owners, and after meeting several times to discuss things about the school and the kids and all that, they ended up hiring me to do work for their businesses. So yes, if you do use this method, you do have to invest your time, and don't go into this just thinking with a mindset of, I'm going to land new clients. You should actually have an interest in the organization. I wanted to be on the parent committee because my kids were going to that school, and I joined the board of director for Habitat for Humanity because I believed in the organization. But my being there landed me clients. That was just a byproduct of me being on the board. But it is a great way of networking, even more so than just attending conferences or networking events. And if you're lucky, your participation could land you new clients. Now, method number 3 is t-shirts. Now, I've mentioned before on this show how when I first started my business, when I left the print shop and I first started my business, I had a t-shirt made that said, "Hi, I'm a web designer. Is your site working for you?" And that was on the back of the t-shirt. Now, I wore this shirt to local events, to trade shows, and anything I did where there'd be a lot of people. And it did land me several new clients. And I've had listeners of this podcast write to me saying they heard me talk about this on an episode. They tried it. They designed a similar shirt. Some of them sent me photos of them wearing the shirt. And they said that it worked for them as well. They landed new clients just by walking around events with a shirt saying, hey, I'm a designer or I'm a web designer and that sort of thing. People came up to them and said, hey, can we talk? I have an idea or I have a business. Can you help me? And it landed them clients. So why don't you give that a shot if it's something you're interested in trying? But wearing a t-shirt advertising your services isn't actually what I wanted to talk about today. See, over the years, I've designed t-shirts for various organizations, events, festivals, and all sorts of stuff around our local area. Now, not only do I do the designing, but I broker the printing as well, meaning I take care of everything. The client hires me, I design it, then I hire the screen printer, they print the t-shirts, and then I deliver the finished t-shirts to my client, and they pay me for the whole bit. And every time I get the opportunity, I'll do the following. Whenever I quote a client on the price of a t-shirt, I give them two prices. I say, here's the price for the t-shirt, and I give them a slightly lower price, saying you can pay this lower price if you let me put my name and my logo and my contact information on the back of the shirt. Now, if by chance this is for a special event and they already have the back of the shirt, maybe a lot of events will put like the sponsors, so all the logos from the sponsors on the back of the shirt. If that's the case, I don't want to take up room with that because I'm not actually a sponsor of the event, but I'll ask them, I says, well, can I put my name on the sleeve, the name and logo on the sleeve of the shirt? And that way mine stands out from the others. Now, most clients jump at this opportunity, especially if they're going to save a couple of dollars per shirt and all they have to do is let me put my name and logo on it. But since I'm brokering the deal in the first place, I make sure that even if they let me do this, I'm still making a profit either way. I'll be making less of a profit if they let me put my name and my logo on the shirt, but I'm still making a profit. So it's not really costing me anything. And I've had my name and my logo on shirts for sporting events, for festivals, for concerts, charity things, and so much more. And every one of them is an opportunity for someone to find out about my business. And it does work, because over the years, I've had people reach out to me and say they saw my logo on such and such a shirt. Now, most of these people are actually looking for shirts themselves, saying, I was at some event and I got this shirt and I noticed that your name's on it. Can I get shirts through you? But however a client becomes a client, it doesn't matter. And that has worked for me several times over the years. And all I do is I ask them, I say, you want to save $1 on the cost of the shirt? Let me put my name and logo on it. Now, unconventional way number 4 is another way to get your name out there by sponsoring your kids' activities. And if you don't have kids, you can always reach out to your local youth groups or leagues and inquire about doing this regardless of if you have kids involved or not. Now, growing up, my daughter played competitive soccer, she played competitive volleyball, and she danced on a competitive dance team. Now, each one of these, I found a way to advertise my business with. For soccer and volleyball, I actually approached the team with a fundraiser idea. I offered to create a t-shirt, not for the athletes, but for the parents themselves. I designed a graphic that would go on the front of the shirt that had the team name. In, say, for example, the case of the soccer, it was the Blazers. So it was going to be the Blazers, and then I added the words sideline support. So Blazers sideline support. So this wasn't for the players themselves. This was for the parents, for the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, the friends, the siblings, the people that were sitting on the sidelines. And of course, on the back of the t-shirt, I had my own business information. Now, as I said, I offered this as a fundraiser. So when we sold the t-shirts to parents, grandparents, and so forth, to not just our team, but this was all the different age groups. So in our league, it just so happens that every team is called the Blazers. It's just you're the under 10-year-old Blazers, the under 12-year-old Blazers, the under 14-year-old Blazers, under 16, and so forth. So for every team that was a Blazers, my team, or my daughter's team, went and sold shirts to the family, friend, and all that. And all the proceeds for these shirts went to my daughter's team. which helped pay for going to tournaments and such. So it was a huge success, and at most games you can see dozens, if not hundreds, of these t-shirts being worn around the field, and my name and logo was on the back of them all. Now, for the dance team that my daughter was on, I offered to design their yearly dance recital t-shirt. They do one t-shirt every year, and I offered to design it free of charge. I mean, my daughter was on the team. I designed the logo that goes on the shirt free of charge. And then, of course, I make a little bit of money off brokering the t-shirts, but the design itself I did for free in exchange for a full-page ad in the recital program. So the program is something they do internally. I don't have anything to do with it, but I supplied them with an ad. And every year I have a full-page ad. And I've had several clients over the years. My daughter hasn't danced with this organization in probably over 10 years, but they still have my ad in the program and I still design the t-shirt for them. And I've had several people reach out saying that they've seen my ad in the program and they became clients. Now, the fifth unconventional way to attract design clients is advertising on your vehicle. This could be using vinyl lettering, doing an entire vehicle wrap, or even just one of those car magnets that you stick on the side of the vehicle. What this does is it creates a moving billboard that advertises your services. Now, this is the one method that I haven't actually tried myself. But I do know some local designers who have their company name and info on their vehicle, and they've told me that they get inquiries all the time. And a lot of them are really good leads. People see them driving around, they see the vehicle parked in a parking lot, and they reach out. Now, of course, this works best if you have your own vehicle. If you're going to do a wrap or vinyl decals on it or vinyl application, this works best if you have your own vehicle. I don't think my wife would appreciate driving around in a vehicle and having to answer questions about my business just because it's written on the side of the vehicle she drives. But if you're using a door magnet sort of thing, you can easily take those on and off. The problem with door magnets is a lot of times people steal them just for the fun of it, so it could get costly in that sense. But a small investment here, even just putting your website on the back bumper of your car or the back section window of your vehicle, could help you land some new clients. And that brings me to the sixth and final unconventional ways to land new design clients. And that is to try to work an ad into any proposal that you are making that may involve ads. Now, as a designer, from time to time, you may get to work on a project that involves ads. Maybe you're asked to design a magazine that'll contain ads in it, or maybe a program for a local event that'll have ads in it. Maybe it's a special board that lists all the sponsor logos on it, or even a t-shirt, as I mentioned earlier, that has the sponsor logos on the back. Or it could even be a website where the client wants to sell ads on the site and have various space. So as you're designing the website, they say, leave these spaces open for ads. Whatever the project is, anytime I'm working on something that involves ads like this, I always ask for an ad spot as part of my proposal. So I'll say, here is the price I propose for the project. In return, I would like one, in some case I can say I would like a quarter-page ad, or I would like a half-page ad, or I would like my logo to be included amongst the other logos, and that sort of thing. And let me tell you, very, very rarely do clients object to this. When I designed the program for a hockey tournament taking place in our local area, I made sure one of the ad spots, I had a quarter-page ad, and I said that one is reserved for me. Years ago, I used to design the paper trail map. This was before they launched an app. This is the Ontario Snowmobile Association. So in the winter, when there's snow, they have these snowmobiles that ride around, and we have a trail system all across Eastern Ontario. And I used to do the map every year for them that would show where the trails were, because some years the trails would change. So every year we would redo it. Well, I made sure that every year I had an ad on that map. And I was the only ad. Other ads on it were snowmobile dealers, restaurants along the trails. They were all related to the snowmobile club or such. And then there was my ad for websites or graphic design. Didn't matter to me. I had my ad on the map. When I created a large 8-foot by 4-foot board showing dozens of logos from local companies for a charity event, there was an outdoor charity event and they wanted to showcase who was sponsoring the event. I asked, I'm creating this. Can I include my logo among them? And they agreed. Now, they had different tiers. They had the platinum tier, the gold tier, the silver tier, and the bronze tier. I included my logo in the bronze. I didn't want to overstep. I mean, the platinum was paying them several $1,000s as a sponsor. But they let me put my logo at the end of the bronze sponsor logos. And just recently, a website client of mine, and this just so happens, it's a website I built for this client 7 years ago. And at the time, they asked me to include spots to put ads that they were going to sell. And I included my ad. I put my ad in one of the spots, and the other spots just had a graphic that said, your ad could go here. And then the company never did anything with it. So for 7 years, my ad was on their website, on the homepage of their website, next to 2 spots saying your ad can go here. Now, just recently, just a couple of weeks ago, they have a new marketing director and he reached out to me saying, I've sold those other 2 ad spots because there was 3 spots in total. Said, I've sold those other 2 ad spots. Is there any agreement in place saying that your ad has to be there, or can I sell that spot as well? And I figured after 7 years, I didn't pay anything. I told them to go ahead and sell it. I'll remove my ad and put up whatever new one he asked for. But I had an ad on their website, and this was a popular website. My ad was there for 7 years. And I've had numerous people inquire about business through that ad. Because it's a web ad, I was able to include a link back so they can contact me. So whenever possible, if you are working on a project that includes ads, try to include your own ad or at least your logo in it if possible. And the best thing to do is when you are proposing, you're giving them your price, include it in your proposal and get them to agree to it. So that's 6 unconventional ways to land new design clients. And that's the point of today's episode. Word of mouth is and will always remain the best way for you to land new clients. But it shouldn't be your only way. So try out one of these or maybe all of these unconventional ways to land design clients. And who knows what will happen. After all, people are not going to hire you if they don't know about you. So get your name out there any way you can and start growing new trees in that forest of clients. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Now, if you do try any of these methods, please reach out to me, feedback@resourcefuldesigner.com, and let me know that you've tried them and let me know if they're successful. I would love to hear from you. And you can also use that email address if you have an article idea for the Resourceful Designer blog. Send me your idea, feedback@resourcefuldesigner.com. Let me know what it is, and if it's good, I'll say write it up and I'll publish your article, giving you full credits and a link back to your website. So that's it for me. Another podcast episode in the books. I am Mark DeCote, wishing you all the best with your design business and reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.